Seth will not be here, and Roxanne Stevens will be in Zoom. That's correct.
Abraham, can you let us know when Roxanne is, if she's going to be on Zoom, right?
That's correct.
Let her know when
Chairperson.
she's
Okay.
online, and then we'll get started.
Absolutely. We'll confirm in just a bit. Thank you, Chairperson Huey.
There she is. She's online, ready to roll.
We are.
Okay.
Paul, is everything good
Are we good?
for us to start? Okay, one moment, please.
Good. I will now call this meeting to order. Good evening and welcome to the August 26th, 2021 City of Hollister Planning Commission meeting. May I have a verification of agenda posting, please?
Yes, Chairperson Huboy. The agenda for the Planning Commission of August 26, 2021 was posted on Friday, August 20th, 2021 at 4:14 p.m.
Thank you, Abraham.
You're welcome.
Commissioner Mora, will you lead us into the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
Yes, sir. Ready? Salute.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Phil.
Thank you, sir.
And a roll call, please.
Certainly, Commissioner, Chairperson Huey. I will start with Commissioner Jose Fernandez,
Here.
Commissioner Salvador Mora,
Here.
Commissioner Roxanne Stevens,
Here.
Chairperson David Huboy,
Here.
and I will note that Commissioner Seth Munzer has indicated that he would not be able to attend. He has an excused absence for tonight.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
I am requesting approval of minutes dated June 24th, 2021.
I make a
Entertain
motion that
okay.
we accept said meeting notes.
A second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
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 The minutes are approved. Are there any?
Chairperson Huboy, I'm sorry. Since we do have people attending via Zoom, we'll actually need to do all the votes by roll call.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Jason. Ask for a roll call on that vote.
Yes, certainly, Chairperson Hui. I will do the roll call now. For the approval of the June 24th, 2021 minutes, we will begin the roll call. Commissioner Salvador Mora,
Yes.
Commissioner Jose Fernandez,
Yes.
Commissioner Roxanne Stevens,
Yes.
and Chairperson David Huboy.
Yes.
Thank you. The minutes have been approved.
Now we go to communications from the public on items not listed on the agenda. Do we have any speaker cards on any items not on the agenda?
Thank you, Chairperson Huboy. We do not have any speaker cards on items not listed on the agenda. We do have members of the public. If any member of the public would like to speak, see none.
Anyone raise their hand in the virtual audience?
We have none.
With no speakers, we go to public hearings. Item number 1, tentative map 2020-3, conditional use permit 2020-3 for a planned unit development, site and architectural review 2020-16. South Street LLC, Jim Capania. The applicant is requesting approval of a tentative map, conditional use permit for a planned unit development, and site and architectural review for the subdivision of a 0.81 acre, 35,388 square feet parcel into 15 lots, and for the construction of 14 townhome, in parentheses, single-family attached, units. The project is located south of 733 and 743 South Street, north of 740 Walnut Lane, and east of the R.O. Hardin Elementary School, further identified as San Benito County Assessor Parcel Number 055-030-026 in the Old Town High Density Residential Zoning District. CEQA is categorically exempt. I have a staff report on that, please.
Certainly, Chairperson Huboy. We'll have Associate Planner Eva Kelly provide the staff report presentation. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. As mentioned, this item, the applicant is requesting approval to subdivide a 0.81 acre parcel into 15 lots for the construction of 14 single-family attached townhome units. The subdivision will include a common parcel, Parcel A, for the parking area, road access, and some common areas, including landscape and a trash enclosure. And the property is located south of 733 and 743 South Street, north of 740 Walnut Lane, east of the R.O. Hardin Elementary School, identified as APN 055-030-026, and it is within the Old Town High Density Residential Zoning District as mentioned. The project will have access via an existing shared driveway to South Street that's located between 733 and 743 South Street. 8 lots will be aligned on the west boundary of the site, which you can see at the top of your screen, and 6 of the lots will be located along the west boundary. The parking area of the site will have an area for emergency vehicle turnaround in between lots 10 and 11 on the east boundary, you can see here. And this also provides access to the parcel to the east of the project site, and that parcel to the east is owned by the city of Hollister and is currently used for city utilities. In addition to the tentative map request for the subdivision, the applicant is requesting approval for a conditional use permit for a planned unit development, which allows for flexibility in the general development and site layout standards. The applicant's requesting the following changes to the standards of the Old Town High Density Residential Zoning District. Firstly, they're requesting the minimum lot size for a single family unit in the Old Town High Density Zoning District. Its standard is 4,000 square feet, and the project proposes a minimum lot size of 1,254 square feet and a maximum of 1,673 square feet. And the overall density of the project is 17.28 dwelling units per acre, which is consistent with the permitted density between 12 and 35 units per acre. The smaller lot size request allows for the townhome type units that are proposed, which will help to diversify the housing stock within the city. And the proposed site design allows for some of the amenities like parking and the trash enclosure for the whole project to be met on the common parcel, Parcel A, rather than on each individual home site. Due partially to the smaller requested lot size, the applicant's also requesting an increase in the permitted maximum lot coverage from 50% to 82.5% maximum lot coverage. And then, as you see on the screen, the applicant's requesting the following setbacks, which are in accordance with the proposed site layout. A 0 foot or a lot line for the front yard setback. Note that there's sidewalk and landscape areas between the front of the units and the parking areas, but those are located on the common parcel, rather than on each individual lot. And then they are requesting a 9 foot rear minimum setback for several of the units. Several of them have a 10 foot step back, which is the standard, but some of them are at 9, so a little bit closer. They're requesting a 0 foot or a lot line side yard setback for the interior of all of the attached units as they're attached. And then between lots 4 and 5, there is a 2.5 foot setback request, so 5 feet total between the two units, but that is less than the 5 foot standard OTH setback. And then on all of the end lots, so lots 1, 8, 9, and 14, they're requesting a standard 5 foot setback to the side yard fence. Also, as part of the CUP, the section 1704-040 of the Hollister Municipal Code requires 500 square feet of private open space for single family attached units in the OTH zoning district. This 500 square feet can be combined as both ground floor and or balcony space. There are 6 lots which don't meet the minimum open space requirement in this development. Each lot has varying ground level private yard space, with the minimum being 219 square feet. Floor plan A has 82 square feet of porch and balcony space. Floor plan B contains 299 square feet of porch balcony space. And floor plan C doesn't have additional porch or balcony space, only the ground level space for any of the floor plan C units. As you can see in this table, lots 2, 4, 6, 10, 11, and 12 each would not meet the 500 square foot minimum for the open space. And approval of the CUP for the PUD would allow for the reduction of open space on these lots as identified on the plans, with the minimum being on lots 10 and 11, with only 219 square feet of open space provided at the ground level. The third request of the applicant tonight is for a site and architectural review. There are 3 elevations of townhomes proposed for the project. Plan A has a stucco exterior with concrete flat tile roofing. The first floor has a front porch with wood posts and a railing. The second floor has a balcony on the front elevation. And the rear elevation will have a set of windows for the bedrooms on the second floor and windows for the living room and office on the first floor. Floor plan A has a family room, kitchen and dining area, an office, and a half bath on the first floor. And the second floor has 3 bedroom, 2 baths, and a laundry room. Floor plan, or elevation B, is a craftsman style elevation with horizontal lap siding on the front elevation. The first floor has a front porch with the wood railing and brick veneer columns, as you can see. And the second floor has a larger veranda with columns and a railing, as well as some exterior access to that balcony. And the rear elevation has a stucco exterior with windows to the second floor bedrooms and windows to the kitchen on the first floor. And there's also an exterior door which leads to the laundry room on the first floor. The floor plan for B is a family room, kitchen, dining area, a half bath, and a laundry room on the first floor, and then 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, and a loft space on the second floor. And then the third and final elevation for the project is Plan C, and this has a stucco exterior with a central front door framed by 2 windows on either side, and there's a brick veneer-based trim. The second floor has 3 additional sets of windows, which are framed by the arch details that you can see on the screen. And the rear elevation has a set of glass doors on the first floor and windows on the second. Plan C is the only kind of end elevation in all of the rows of the attached units. So it also has a side elevation. And this side elevation has a rear door, several sets of windows, along with an articulated wall to break up this elevation. And finally, floor plan C, this is actually a 4-bedroom unit as opposed to a 3-bedroom like the other two. So plan C has, again, a kitchen, dining, great room area, a laundry room, a half bath, and a junior master bedroom with a full bath on the first floor. And then there's 3 additional bedrooms, 2 baths, and a loft area on the second floor. This slide shows the proposed project elevations for all 14 units as they would be aligned. So lots 1 through 8 on the top of your screen, these will be along the west boundary, and they're broken into 2 groups of 4 houses with that split between 4 and 5 in the center. And then lots 11 through 14 are located on the northeast portion of the project site, and then 9 and 10 are on the southeast boundary of the project site. The project's located in the Old Town zoning district, and the Old Town encompasses an area characterized primarily by buildings constructed before the founding of Hollister in 1876, all the way to just before World War II. Buildings in this area include a variety of architectural styles and a range of sizes. They also reflect an integration of income levels and social classes within the neighborhoods. Some of the homes in the area were constructed after World War II and have a more contemporary style. And although these are established neighborhoods, there are opportunities remaining for infill development within the Old Town zone, and this proposed project is within one of those remaining infill sites, and it complements the scale and architectural style of structures in the area where it's located. The project requires 2 parking spaces per unit, as they are all 3 bedrooms or more, and 1 guest parking space for every 4 units, which is a total of 32 required spaces. There's 28 for the 14 units, and then plus 4 guest spaces. The applicants propose 33 parking spaces, including 1 ADA space, which meets and exceeds the 32 parking requirement. In addition, the applicants propose 6 bicycle spaces located here on the south corner of the site. And these are near the trash enclosure and the sidewalk, and they meet and exceed the requirement of 10% of the vehicle spaces. So there would be 3 required bicycle spaces. They have proposed 6 racks. There was a traffic analysis prepared for the project to determine level of service impacts that might occur as part of the project, as well as to analyze the turning radii for emergency service vehicles that need to access the site, as well as utility vehicles that will need to continue to access the city site to the east of the project site. And based on that analysis, the project doesn't have any significant impacts to traffic or level of service at any of the nearby intersections. And the initial project proposal did contain a secondary access point through to Walnut Lane to the south. However, during the review process, we received several concerns from neighbors on Walnut Lane to the south of the project site, where there are existing issues with impacted parking. And in response to those initial neighborhood concerns, and as it wasn't deemed necessary through the traffic analysis, that secondary access point was eliminated as shown on the proposed plan. So there's no longer a secondary access to Walnut Lane. Staff did receive written protests from several of the neighbors yesterday, so on August 25th, 2021. Those were provided to the commission, and we do have hard copies available on the table here in the chambers, and as well as up on your stands for the commissioners. And it was our hope that eliminating the Walnut Lane access for the project will help to alleviate some of those concerns that we heard through the project review process. And we do understand that parking is heavily impacted in many places in the city. However, for this particular project, as mentioned in this report, it does meet and exceed our parking requirements for on-site parking. We are on a slightly old version of our PowerPoint here. So there is a condition 63, as well on the tentative map resolution, as well as condition 22 on the site and architectural resolution. It currently reads, the developer shall install a backflow prevention device on the existing sewer lateral between the building and the city's sanitary sewer main. The device shall be maintained and operated by the owners and shall be periodically tested by the owners to ensure the device is working properly. Our engineering staff and the applicant have discussed this and proposed to include just the language at the beginning, if required by city standard, then a backflow prevention device would be required. So staff would recommend that the Planning Commission review the applicant's request, receive all written and oral testimony regarding the proposal, and make the following motions. The first would be to adopt a resolution approving tentative map 2020-3 with the change to condition 63 as I just described. And then the second motion would be to adopt a resolution approving conditional use permit 2020-3 for a planned unit development, subject to the findings and conditions in the draft resolution. And the third recommended item would be to make a motion to adopt a resolution approving site and architectural review 2020-16 with the change to condition 22 as described. And with that, I will ask if there are any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Eva. I do have a question regarding the private space requirement.
Yes.
So the general development standards require 500 square feet of private space per dwelling unit. And of that 500 square feet, am I correct to say is that a portion of that can be attributed to a private yard space and the rest to a common open space?
So that is true for multifamily development. However, this is a single family attached development. So the standards are slightly different. It is still 500 square feet per unit. However, it is fully private as they are all technically single family individual sale ownership lots, but they are attached. So it's 500 per single family attached unit, and that can be split between ground level and balcony. A common open space area is not required for single family development.
It's not required.
For single family, yes.
Okay. Thank you. Any other questions from the fellow commissioners on the staff report?
Commissioner Huboy, this is Commissioner Stevens. I would like some clarification again about the access in and out of this development. So I did share some of the concerns that that were stated in the neighborhood petition that we read. I thought about that before I even saw their concerns. And so I'm just wondering, could you speak again to like how they get in and out? I drive through there all the time because one of my granddaughters goes to school there, and it's very heavily impacted already. And I was trying to imagine 14 extra families plus 2 cars per household and how it would be impacted. And so I'm really concerned about that because there is a lot of traffic. South Street is really narrow. So anyway, can you just talk a little bit more about that? Just explain how they get in and out and why it is that there doesn't seem to be anything on the traffic report about added impact.
Sure, yes, sorry, I'm trying to open up the slightly newer PowerPoint version because it has an overlay image from Street View. But the site does access only from South Street. There's an existing shared driveway. As part of our traffic analysis, that was one of the things we were looking for, was a level of service impact, and we looked at a few intersections. They were South Street and the project driveway. At the time, there was the Walnut Lane access that I described, so that was analyzed in the traffic study. Walnut Lane and I believe it's Powell to the east, and forgive me if that's wrong, it could be West Street to the east. And then we also looked at Line Street and South Street, which is just a little bit to the west of the project site, to the northwest. And based on the traffic analysis standards, there is not a significant amount of vehicle trips. I can pull that up as well if we'd like to look at the exact numbers, but there wasn't a significant amount of vehicle trips generated by 14 residential units to require any additional improvements or anything like that to those intersections that we studied. Like there's no stop signs or anything necessary to do like four-way intersection control based on the project levels, but we also had that concern, and then as I mentioned, we heard that concern through the process from the neighbors. And so in talking with the applicant, the secondary access to Walnut, it would have required, based on the traffic study, it would have required some red curbing on Walnut, so decreasing parking that already existed and is impacted. So we felt it was best, and the applicant agreed to modify the plans to remove that secondary access. So it does just have one point of access at South Street, but it's still not anticipated to generate enough trips based on the modeling that's done for traffic analysis to require impact mitigation.
Speaking of the access and circulation, when it went through the DRC, did the police have any, the fire department have any comments? Because I don't see a turnaround. They'd have to back up.
So it's a T turnaround. So the T intersection that's proposed.
Oh,
so
I
this
see.
is the project.
I see how that works.
Yes,
the
so
T.
they can come
Okay.
in and they can use this T
Okay.
intersection that meets the fire code, and then there's not enough units to require that secondary access. And one of the things we did discuss when we were still talking about modifications, possible modifications to the Walnut Lane secondary access, was doing like an emergency vehicle access only. But as we've heard in previous conversations we've been having with other projects, it's not something that our emergency vehicle teams, our fire and police service teams, they prefer no EVA. They don't want to have emergency vehicle access only. They prefer full access roads, full access points to restricted entries. And so it was better to eliminate it and have only the South Street as opposed to having an EVA or as opposed to having a full access point at Walnut.
Okay.
Yeah, I was going to speak regarding as far as the reasoning of why this project doesn't have a secondary, point of access entrance. The issue I have is with, like we've discussed and had some issues in some of the past projects, is the fact if there is an emergency situation like occurred off West Side Boulevard, actually it was off West Side Boulevard, where there was only one access point and the residents were stuck because the first responders vehicles were blocking the only way in and out. That was concerning, but I do like the fact that the developer and the city came up with the idea, and developer agreed to not have that secondary access, because then we would have to restrict some parking along the street, which I'm pretty familiar with that area. I used to live in that part of town when I first moved here. So there's, obviously the residents that are currently living in that area, are opposing this project, but that would probably create even more frustration on their part by losing additional parking spots. So it's not ideal, but I do like the fact, but I am a little concerned just from a safety perspective, only having one access point. But we, as we've heard from current fire chief, and not really so much from the police chief, but mostly the fire chief, of not being in favor of having an EVA. My only concern is just being able to have access for people to get in and out more than just one way. The other question I had was, are these units, are they sprinklered? Do we know?
Yes, all
Okay, just wanted
units,
to
and
make
I believe
sure.
it's a requirement from,
Okay, just wanted to make
I want to
sure.
say 2012 or 2015. Every new unit will have to be fully sprinklered
Okay,
for the
good.
building and fire codes.
Good.
Right. Just for everyone's edification, that all new dwelling units have to be fire sprinklered. That includes ADUs. Okay, any other questions on the staff report? Jose? Good. Roxanne? Any other questions?
No questions.
Without any further questions, I'll move into the public hearing at 6:27. Do we have any speaker cards on this item?
Yes, thank you, Chairperson Hiboy. And I would also like to add that any members of the Zoom public, if they want to speak to, also raise their hands at this time. But we do have one member of the audience here, and that is Victor Gomez.
Abraham, good to see you. Honorable Chair Huboy, Commissioners, really good to see you in three-dimensional fashion. Good to see you all. Roxanne, good to see you as well. Happy to be here with you today representing the applicant, Jim Campagna, and Alan Andrade is here too to answer any technical questions you may have. I do want to let you know that I did receive the petitions from Eva this morning from the neighbors. I did reach out to the petitioner, and I did reach out to one of the other neighbors and with two primary concerns. The biggest one was the emergency vehicle access. So folks were concerned that that was going to be used as a way to enter Walnut Lane. As you folks know, or probably know, if you drive down Walnut, it's really like a one-way street. It's really hard to get in and out. So those that signed the petition were satisfied that that was removed from the project scope. So we were, obviously really happy to hear that. Another concern that one of the neighbors had was privacy. And we did, talk to her about, potentially redoing her fence and maybe elevating it a bit to obviously meeting the city standards. The applicant is more than happy to comply with that request from the neighbor. And that is actually one of the I think it's under condition in the tentative map. It's condition 20, I think it is, for residential fences around the project. So we'll make sure at that time that we work with the applicant. If something needs to be worked into that condition, we're fine to comply with that. But we're happy to say that we had those conversations with the neighbors. We did reach out to them, and they all seem to be fairly satisfied with those mitigations. So if you have any other questions, we're happy to answer those. Again, the applicant and our engineer are here to answer any technical questions that you may have. But we're here to certainly address any concerns you may have. So thank you for your time.
Thank you, Victor.
We do have Deborah Zander on the Zoom call, so we'll go ahead and allow you to speak.
Hi there, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Yes.
Excellent. So I live on 750 Walnut Lane. I'm at the end of the cul-de-sac, and the back of my property is adjacent to this project. So while we have the map up, can somebody please highlight where my property is relative to the map?
I believe you are here. You're on the elementary school side, correct?
Correct.
Yes. So it would be this top left corner here, and it's the southwest.
Okay, so there would be just a single unit potentially facing my property.
Correct.
Okay, and then I saw the different plans. And so as I mentioned before to Victor, who was very nice and answered most of my questions, one of the biggest concern that I have is privacy. So obviously these units are going to be 2-story units. And as you can see from those layouts, they're going to have windows. And my concern is, the privacy of my children in the backyard and making sure that, my kids are safe. So that's my main concern. I understand that, the project owner is willing to provide a higher fence, which I feel is very generous. But at the same time, it only goes up to 8 feet and you can still look down into my property. So that's my biggest concern, and I just wanted to voice that. That was my main concern. So that's all I had to say.
Thank you. Any other speakers on Zoom?
Yes, we also have Adam Mendola. We'll go ahead and unmute you.
Is that okay here? Hello?
Can you speak up, Adam, please? We can't hear you.
Yes. Are you able to hear me okay? Is it?
Yes.
Oh, you can or cannot? I'm
Yes, we
sorry.
can now. Thank you.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Yes, so we did start a petition on Walnut Lane. We did have those concerns about parking and such. I did talk to Ms. Kelly, and yes, Mr. Hernandez was or Gomez was very fantastic to talk to. We do appreciate them looking into those concerns. Moving forward, we'd like to also say that Walnut Lane is only one in and out emergency vehicle access as well. And it's been that way for 70 years. So looking at this project, I do understand their concerns. I would hate to go back and see that somewhere down the line, this comes up again. We'd like to just put it to rest as soon as possible. Starting back at the Planning Commission, I want to say thank you for allowing me to talk, but in February, we started noticing that sign. Not one resident on that street was notified. We had to call. I had to call and email and call and email. Never got any response until a little bit later. I understand that COVID was a big concern at the time, but we have concerned residents there that really wanted to hear something from the Planning Commission. Mr. Kelly did reach out to me and we did start having this discussion. That was back in February. Today is August. And all of a sudden we got him notice last week that this was going to be at this point. So in that time, I wish as a resident, I would have known any of this part. Ms. Sander does have a good point. It directly impacts her house, but up until this point, we considered the emergency access vehicle, traffic flow, and other concerns that we had for that pretty much single one-way street that we all live on. The city of Hollister is growing immensely. I consider that on you guys to think about because like Ms. Stevens had said, my kids went to R.O. Hardin School as well. South Street is majorly impacted. All the streets in that area are majorly impacted. Two ways in and out of Hollister, Highway 25, Highway 156. We got to start looking at how we're going to fix this. I understand growth is a big concern, but it does start affecting people, especially in the old town of Hollister, immensely. Out town, they can probably figure out different ways in and out of town. We still have to go through the school in my current location. That's greatly impacted with all this growth we're trying to do. 14 units sounds great. I'm looking at it, hey, there's 14 people that are going to come into town. Hopefully they do stick to single dwelling like you guys are saying, but I know differently. Homes in Hollister are multi, families inside there. So I'm hoping that they do stick to the point of one single dwelling home because I'm living in a home that probably should only be a single dwelling. There's several around us that have multiple in those homes, not anything being done about it. So it does get impacted as time goes on. But I'd like a few things, and I'm sure that I speak for my neighbors. We'd love that sign to be taken down. We'd like this to be put to rest.
Adam, can you
Emergency
conclude your
access-
statements, please?
Sure. I'm sorry?
Okay, your time, I guess are we on a 3-minute time limit?
Oh, I
Your
apologize.
time
Well,
has
thank you so
expired,
much.
I'm
But
sorry.
most off, we'd like the sign to come down. And thank you very much and see something in writing moving forward that we can put this to rest today or whenever you guys decide to vote on this. We'd like to be included as well because we're not getting any indications of what's going on at all. So thank you for your time and I do appreciate you allowing me to speak.
You're welcome. Thank you, Adam. Next speaker?
Yes, we have Sean Maroney.
Hello? Can you guys hear me?
Yes. Proceed, please.
I live on 661 Walnut Lane, been there 12 years. I can agree with pretty much everything my neighbors have said so far. I had a question about the traffic study. What time of year was it, and what time of day did you do that traffic study on South Street? Because there's a huge difference if you did that in the summer and if you did it during the school year or during pickup times, during drop-off times. That all matters. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Sean. Who generated the traffic report?
It was done by our in-house consultant, Kimley Horn. I can pull it up. I know because of COVID, they were using previous data as opposed to a live, because there was COVID, there was no school in town. So, but I can pull up the data.
While Eva's pulling up the data, do we have another speaker?
We do. Gina Felice Muna.
Good evening. Are you able to hear me?
Yes,
Yes.
go ahead.
Thank you so much, and thank you for the opportunity to speak. I'd like to just reiterate what my neighbor just said. I reside at 610 Walnut Lane. I happen to work at Hollister Prep School, which is on the campus of R.O. Hardin School. Traffic is bananas in the morning down South Street and Line. I too would be interested to see what data you have that states that this will not impact, that this development will not impact traffic. Yes, it's only 14 units, but that's 14 more units than what are there now. And it's very difficult during school hours to get in and out in that general area. And I'm talking Line Street, South Street, Powell, Walnut Lane. It's extremely frustrating at times because people are trying to pick up their children, they're trying to drop off their children. We have a Go Kids that is only a few doors down from this development, which adds to the traffic flow. So while I appreciate the fact that Walnut Lane is no longer a secondary access, I do think that the traffic that this could generate should at least be taken into consideration. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Yes, we have Tom Little or Lytle.
Good evening. Can you hear me? It's Tom Lytle.
Yes, we can
Yes.
hear you.
Yeah, no, I appreciate your time. I just wanted to listen to Adam and Gina. Their thoughts are correct. I mean, with Adam, I had called and sent emails and never got a response about this. This street is highly impacted already. I mean, every day I go out because I live right at the end of Walnut Lane by Powell. There's 6 to 8 vehicles that are parked there that don't live on this street. I understand they have a right, but they're from rentals across the street. And then the traffic survey, I mean, this street, trying to get out no matter what time of the day, it's with the cars parked right on the corner, you can barely see to get out safe. My daughter didn't want to start driving because she was scared of getting out on the street. It's so bad. And the only other question I have, I don't understand if they're building 14 units and we're allowing 6 of them not to be at the minimum size. Why would we even consider that? That's just my thoughts. Thank you very much for your time.
You're welcome. Thank you.
I have no more speakers in the Zoom.
Thank you, Eva. I do have a question on a technical question for Alan. Alan? It's on the drive that comes off of South Street. The new drive. That's all a new
Certainly.
access. It's new drive, right?
That is an existing driveway that will be improved to facilitate the width required for these 14 units.
So you're widening the existing drive?
Yes.
Okay. Is the widening including sidewalks?
There's not enough room to have the required access for 2 vehicles to pass, as well as a sidewalk, if we put like a raised sidewalk. In your package, if you have my plan set, I did a detailed cross-section that showed how the vehicle movement would happen at the narrowest point. And you could ask Eva if that's available. Clearly it's very similar to what you've got with any of the alleys downtown, where 2 vehicles can pass. When they do pass, it's tight, but there's room for everything to get by. And there's also room, if there was pedestrians or something, to manipulate and be alongside that. Not that we'd expect it to always have 2 cars and someone walking at the same time, but it meets the minimum requirements for serving these 14 lots.
The concern I have is for an accessible route to the sidewalk on South Street. If that was to come up during plan review, how would you respond to that?
It's showing on the plan set, and it was in the design review package that you had.
So without a sidewalk, how does the accessible route work?
Just
Can you
like the striped sections in a
you can do a
supermarket parking lot.
striped walkway?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, very similar to a crosswalk, but since it's linear with the access.
It'd be a
that's how it
striped
functions, yes.
pedestrian path?
Yes.
Okay.
And both sides of that are also, painted red. So it's like there's no parking allowed, that's entirely restricted. It is only for vehicles and pedestrian access.
There'd be no parking lot, okay. That concludes my questions. Any questions for the civil engineer from the Planning Commission? Thank you, Alan, appreciate that.
Do I have the opportunity just to mention one thing that, I really appreciate Eva, and I thought she did a great job with the presentation and the package and the staff report. The last commenter that did make the comment with regard to allowing the reduction in space, what's kind of lost in translation here is that you have this common open space area and parking lot that aid into the availability to have private open space. But when you look at the project as a whole, in the gross and the density requirement that the city's looking for to fill in this Old Town Historic District, it meets those requirements. And it's kind of just, which angle are you looking at it? The way that Ava presented it, she had to, because, once these lots are created, they would have a higher lot coverage and less open space because they're just the small lot. But you have to acknowledge that the parking is provided as a part of the common space, the trash enclosure, as well as the landscaping and common landscaping areas around in the common areas.
Right, but speaking of common open space by the definition in the 14.04040 of the multifamily residential development standards, it encourages community interaction. So it would, it doesn't show.
Well,
it doesn't show that.
You're spot on with the community interaction.
Community interaction for open space.
That's why all of the units that you look at, well, the majority of them have that patio on the front, which is a quasi front yard, so that you're encouraging community interaction with, neighbors parking and sharing parking spaces with each other. They have to walk past each other to get in and out. It was all in line with the intent of the general code as I read it.
One other, so what you're saying is that within the private space in the front, you're able to create a community interaction.
Facilitate community interaction. This is a lot different than single family housing where, people pull into their garage, close the door, and don't even talk to the neighbors.
Right.
Everyone here is going to be outside visiting with each other by, obligation because they don't have another choice. It's the paradigm that is kind of the shift away from single family housing that, seems to be really problematic, or like maybe there's too much of it in Hollister. And we want to encourage this type of stuff where you've got higher densities and people interacting with each other on a daily basis.
Yeah. A minor point on a different subject relating to the pedestrian routes is that the building code requires for over 3 dwelling units to have accessibility. So I don't see accessibility addressed from the fact that all the elevations show steps. So, I mean,
So-
that's typically a building department review issue, but since we do look at, from a site standpoint, we do look at accessible pedestrian routes, I just want to make that clear, is that there'll have to be a revision on having
If you'll
enough
notice,
accessible ground floor units.
if you'll notice, is one of the 3 models has the downstairs bedroom unit for that specific reason, and each one of these has the ability to be modified for a ramp to be included for the front door access.
Okay,
So it's not like we designed the whole project, every unit to be accessible, but each
Right.
unit has provisions built in to become
Mhm.
accessible should it be necessary.
I can see that can be easily massaged, so you can include those accessible
Yes.
routes in ground floor,
Right.
accessible front doors with a 1/2-inch threshold. Any maximum threshold?
Yes.
Any questions for the civil engineer, Alan Andrade?
Well, thank you for giving me the chance to make that comment. And then with regard to the neighbor who is immediately adjacent and was worried about the windows, is we only have 1 bedroom that has a window that faces her lot. There's 3 windows showing on that upper level. 2 of them are, light or a bathroom where they're not, they're up elevated. They're not like floor access where someone's able to look out of it all the time. Just the 1 window, and, as Victor stated, the applicant's, ready, willing, and able to, reconstruct that fence in a manner that's suitable to whatever the city code would allow.
Question for staff regarding if the applicant was to raise the rear fence from 6 feet to 8 feet, would that be a variance to our municipal code on fence heights?
No, our fences are allowed to be 6 feet with up to a 2-foot lattice. So it couldn't be an 8-foot solid fence, but it could have a 6-foot solid fence with a 2-foot lattice. That's perfectly in line with our residential.
Like a lattice, like embellishment on top?
Right, yeah.
Okay.
And the lattices can be, the open kind that you can actually see through, but also there's the privacy lattice that really restricts the ability to directly see through, especially, for people that are shorter than 6 foot.
The unfortunate people that are shorter than 6 feet. Sorry about that. Okay, sorry about that. Okay.
Thank
Thank
you
you,
again.
Alan.
Don't worry, I have thick skin,
I know.
I'm not offended.
Just adding a little levity here.
Exactly.
Okay. Any other speakers on this item?
Does anybody else want to speak from the audience?
Anybody from the virtual audience? Any other speakers? Without further speakers, I will close the public hearing now at 10 minutes to 7 and bring it back to the Planning Commission. For discussion, comments?
Yeah, I just have a quick question. Do we know if this project is gonna, if it has a HOA? Is there a HOA component to this?
The city, the conditions of approval have a communities facilities district requirement for the applicant to be able to annex into these communities facilities district number 4 for the maintenance, and community facilities district number 5 for police and fire prior to the recordation of a final map. So that would be a part of the requirements.
Yes,
Okay.
thank you, Abraham. And I would add that
Sure.
during the time that we determine the budget specifically for the community facilities district, we would determine what's going to be publicly maintained, that would go into the CFD, and anything that's going to be privately maintained, that would be in an HOA or CCNR's document that would be provided by the applicant for maintenance.
Okay, great, thank you. Just want to address a couple items that some of the speakers made, and, definitely understand, where they're coming from. It's definitely understandable when they purchased their single-family home and there was no neighbors to the back of them, there's a vacant lot. So obviously you don't really have to worry about expectation of privacy, because there's no one behind you, but city attorney, can you, I'd hate to put you on the spot, but do you know of any law that prohibits a project to be built that will in any way, how to phrase this correctly, change someone's expectation of privacy. So basically, if I own a home, there's no one behind me, now there's a project that's gonna come up. Is there an existing law that prohibits a project being built just because somebody could potentially view my backyard?
Commissioner Moore, that would be up to local zoning regulations, which apparently does not apply here.
Yeah,
I'd defer to staff on that.
Yeah, that was me, my next point. With our local zoning ordinance, we do not have that. It's not prohibited. So, yes, I'm not sure how long some of these residents have lived there with no one living behind them. Yes, it'd probably be more ideal for them to have a single story built, near their property. But, with this project, it's not a single story, it's a multi-story. So that's definitely understandable. I understand that even though the builder, the applicant is willing to raise the fence, it's not going to solve the issue. But unfortunately, there's no guarantee when you purchase a home, when there's nothing built around it, that nothing will ever be built there, or that it could potentially be 2-3 stories high. So I definitely understand that, but it's not a perfect world. I can't imagine denying a project just on that single fact alone. It's unfortunate for that homeowner, but unfortunately it happens a lot. And as far as the traffic, study, I mean, it was near impossible to do a proper traffic study in 2020 when there's when school wasn't in session as far as on campus. So it's kind of unrealistic to be able to get that. So we have to kind of piece together past traffic studies when school was in session. Obviously, the heavy times are in the early morning when kids are going to and from school, and probably early afternoon when they get released. But we also can't guarantee that, there's only going to be a single family living in each unit. Of course, that's not necessarily our job. Our job is to look at the project before us and to make sure that it meets all the requirements that the city ordinances that we have in place. Obviously, we would hope that there would be just a single family that lives in a dwelling unit, but we know how times are. Even in an apartment, you have multiple families, but we can't control that aspect of it. We can't foresee those things. So we just have to, just want the general public to know that we have to just look at the project before us and make sure that it's in compliance with our city ordinances and make the best determination from there. Obviously, to have nothing there would appease the current property owners, which is definitely understandable. Whenever there's new housing built around you, when there's nothing there for a long time, people aren't going to like it. But I like this project. This is something that the city desperately needs. It's not single-family homes, which will take up more space. It's going to provide more people an opportunity to become homeowners, and there's looks like there's pretty good parking inside. Obviously, not everyone's going to be able to fit. Sometimes you may have multiple cars. It's going to happen, but when you look, when I outweigh the positives to our community compared to the negatives, I see a lot more positives to this project, and I'm definitely in favor of this project.
Thank you, Sal. Jose?
One question for the builder. The one unit that faces the one homeowner's house, you say there's only one regular window that would face into her yard? Can that one be modified into a light-only window to reduce the privacy issue for her? that make sense?
Maybe Commissioner Huboy would have a
Yeah,
better
I
idea
can
of what's
answer that.
available.
I can answer that.
But
The-
before we say that, stating that it faces the house, this is the side of the house. The front of the house, the front door, the primary windows, the primary access, so do not face those lots. So it's one side bedroom window on the second floor that Commissioner Huboy might have an answer with regard to window treatments that might alleviate some concerns.
Well, the maximum sill height for a aggressible bedroom window is 33 or 34 inches. It has to be large enough to escape if there's a fire. So it would be nice to have a higher window to give more privacy, but that really, the only other solution would be to rearrange the floor plan on the second floor and either eliminate that bedroom there or make it into a different space. The way I agree with what Sal was saying regarding the townhome component, it responds to our current housing element, that it does provide an option that is sorely needed. We have a sea of single-family detached homes, and we need more of a high-density, a smaller unit that would be more affordable. I think that we don't see townhomes, condominiums, or rental units very often here at the Planning Commission, and I think that this does respond to a community need in that regard. I appreciate the input from all the members from the virtual audience and living there, and I know it is congested there. Our daughter went to R.O. Hardin, and I'm very familiar with South Street in that area. I do have concerns about the traffic, but some of those concerns were related to emergency access that was eliminated. It did go through a DRC from, the fire department did weigh in on it. It does have a T-shaped maneuverability from the site standpoint. Some of the other issues that I raised were answered from a pedestrian standpoint. I always like to see sites have good pedestrian circulation, and would have been nice to have a little bit more of a space for community interaction, but be as it may. I would agree with Commissioner Mora in that regard, that there's more positives that in this particular project that outweigh the negatives. But with these comments that were raised from the virtual audience in terms of the traffic, and we are going through a general plan update, we take these to heart, and when we zone or designate a land use for high density, and these traffic issues come up repeatedly, that's why we update our general plan ideally every 7 years. Is that correct, Abraham?
Yeah, the general plan, the housing element does get updated every
And we do
5
take that circulation
years.
standpoint and to heart. So I appreciate all the time that you've spent, the petition that you created, and all your concerns that you shared with us tonight. Roxanne?
Yeah, so I'd like to make a few comments. Although I agree that this is a kind of development that's really needed in Hollister, my concern is what I said earlier, is I don't think that the people who live there are gonna believe that traffic will not be impacted. It will be. There's just no way. That street is too narrow and it's too busy. My concern is that there's too many exceptions that are being asked in this project to have smaller lot sizes, to have less open space. I honestly don't see how there's going to be a lot of interaction because there's really no place to be, because there's not much open space in this. I would have been happy to see fewer units in this development because I do think that we need townhouses. I still worry about emergency vehicles getting in and out of there, plus having people in there. If every single parking space is taken up in that parking lot and people are moving around doing their normal daily things, and then an emergency happens, it's going to be worrisome. I can't imagine how it's gonna work out really well in that scenario. I also am concerned that not even if we set aside the concerns around emergency access, just the quality of people that are living there, it just seems very, very crowded. I would have preferred to see a project like this with fewer units or in a different location, because again, in the west side of Hollister, we're going to ask the people that live there already to accommodate higher density in smaller spaces, which we don't ask in other parts of Hollister. So this is a real concern for me. I would support this kind of development. I have a lot of concerns about the number of units in that space and the fact that it's again side, which is already heavily impacted. And I still have concerns with South Street. It's too narrow. There's already too much traffic. When cars are parked on the street there and then people are trying to get in and out of there and then kids are running around, it's a little crazy, or it's a lot crazy. And then you're gonna add 14 homes with 2 cars each, with people coming in and out, probably families living really busy lives. So I just have a lot of concerns about this project. I just think there needs to be more open space. I think if they had met the requirements for all of, the open space, the common areas, the lot size, all of that, maybe I would have thought about this differently. There was fewer units. Maybe I would have thought about this differently, but I'm just really concerned about all that. And I'm also concerned about the location that, again, we're asking the west side community, the west side of Hollister, that community to take on another project like this, when again, we don't ask that very often of the other parts of Hollister.
Thank you, Roxanne.
Well, regarding the emergency vehicle access, our fire chief weighed in on this, as well as the police chief, and I would think twice on it if they had raised concerns regarding this project and be able to get in and out. The fact that they haven't, and they've kind of signed off on it as far as saying this isn't an issue for us. We do have a way to turn our emergency vehicles around if we go inside this facility. I'm in law enforcement, but I'm not a firefighter, so I'll take his opinion, the chief's opinion, who's I'm sure driven those big rigs before and has expertise. So I'll listen to the experts in that field, in that aspect of it, and it makes me feel a lot more at ease knowing that they're okay with this design for their trucks and staff to be able to get in and out. There's only one access point, but again, I'm satisfied with, because their biggest thing is providing safety to our community, and I can't imagine the police chief or the fire chief approving or giving their blessing to a project knowing that it's going to put our community members at risk. I do not believe that they would approve that. So at least for me, I feel a lot more comfortable knowing that they don't have issues with it. If they did, I would definitely like to get them to weigh in on this, but you know, they haven't objected, and for me that's a big boost of confidence on that part.
Mr. Chair?
I have no concerns about their abilities to get in and out of there. I know that our fire personnel in Hollister are highly skilled, and I have no doubt that they can do this safely. There's no doubt in my mind. So I totally agree with you. They're experts. They know, but they know how to drive those vehicles. They're highly skilled. In my mind, that they would never put anybody at risk. And I'm not, in my comment, that was not what I was trying to get at. I don't think that anybody is going to put anybody at risk. My concern is more about the quality of the life of the people that are in there, because it is more crowded. And then again, I just want to reiterate, it's like you add all the vehicles that are there, plus people just moving around their daily lives, plus having to get an emergency vehicle in and out of there. So it's beyond just simply the safety factor that I think that we should consider. That's my biggest concern. I have complete confidence in our fire personnel that they are highly skilled, and when they say they can get in and out of there safely, I do not doubt them. But beyond the issues of risk and safety, there's other things that I think that this project raises concerns about.
Yeah, you know, when you mentioned the quality of living, you know, I think that's really up to, you know, the people that make that determination as far as quality of living in this development are the people that are going to purchase these units. You know, for myself, it may not be a good quality of living in a unit like this, but to someone else who's a renter, it might. You know, everyone has different needs. Everyone has, you know, some people want a lot of land. Some people don't want a big backyard. They'd rather just have, you know, kind of like a townhouse type. So everyone has different needs. So I think it's, you know, I think it's really up to the people that are purchasing these units to make that determination for themselves if this is something that they feel is good quality living for them. If it's if it's not, then there's not going to be very many units sold, you know, and it'll be obviously a bad thing. But I seriously, I think that's up to the potential home buyers to determine whether what's considered good quality for them. Again, everyone has different definitions of what a good quality housing unit is. I'm not sure if we're the ones who should be kind of dictating or saying what should be considered good quality.
Mr. Chair?
I'd like to make a comments on a couple of the issues that were brought up here, and one is that I think it's worth noting that the parking, on-site parking exceeds the requirement.
That is
That is
correct.
correct.
It's 33 proposed, 32 required.
So which is a good thing. I would have liked to have, and going back, I would have liked to maybe see one of those units eliminated for more of a community public space area. Be as it may, when I look at projects like this, and especially with concerns on traffic, I look at multimodal access. So it was important that my questions to Alan Andrade, it was for a pedestrian access or bicycle access to connect to South Street. For the walkability close to the school, I would like to see that is you could walk and have a safe pedestrian route that would connect to the school along with a bicycle route. So when I look at projects like this, it's paramount that they address multimodal access, which Alan did answer my questions regarding that. It is a high density. It is high density. It does meet that land use. It does comply. They're asking for a lot of, reductions of setbacks, lot coverage, and private open space. It's with all this being said, it puts me a little bit on the fence there for me to support it. But as I said previously, I think that the positives do outweigh some of these concerns slightly, and that's all I have to say about it.
Mr. Chair, if I may?
Yes.
Can I address the open space a little bit as well? I know that that's a big factor, and I know that the City Council, Planning Commission, Parks and Rec weigh heavily on open space. And I just want to say that the City Council did adopt a Hollister Parks Facilities Master Plan in 2019. And part of that required, there's different language in there. Part of it indicates that the City of Hollister has a joint contract with some of the schools. Oro Hardin is one of them for the use of open space. The others are Cerro Vista, Lat Lane, Margaret Mays, Rancho San Justo. And so the Oro Hardin School Park at 6.26 acres is a currently existing joint facilities with the City of Hollister and the Hollister School District. And so it is in walking distance. The site is in walking distance to the park. And so one of the things that the Hollister Park Facility Master Plan considers is that any residential unit that's built throughout the city should be in walking distance to a park. This is a joint use park, Apricot Lane Park, that's at 2.04 acres. It's a little bit more to the west, walking distance as well, but it is a little further, maybe about a half a mile to the west. And so given that no open space is being proposed due to and also due in part because of the density that's required to provide housing that's much needed, such as the townhomes that are being proposed. As mentioned, the majority of the homes here in Hollister are single family. They're at about 80% based on a study that we recently did for our general plan update. So the townhomes being a little bit different type of use as discussed, a different type of stock, and also due to the fact that it's in close proximity to Oro Hardin, they don't necessarily have to put an open space area on the site to meet those requirements, but they would pay into a Quimby required fee to provide those funds and for the city to be able to use them for other types of recreational open space amenities in the city of Hollister.
Does the fees that go into the community facility district, are they designated for those purposes?
The community facilities district would be specifically for the site itself, for the maintenance of the site, so that way it can help for city staff to be able to go out and do the proper maintenance of whatever needs to be maintained throughout the development. And there is an escalator to that as well. So it's based on the CPI, the Consumer Price Index. Every year it would go up. And so that's part of the conditions of approval, that we would require that to be essentially annexed into the CFDs number 4 and 5. What I was referring to in regards to the fees for the city to be able to provide amenities either nearby or in the city of Hollister, that's in our subdivision code, chapter 16, which requires that the city require impact fees for development for open space requirements. And so if it's not provided on site, then because in this case it needs to meet density and because of the close proximity to other parks, then we would be able to collect those fees through impact fees that have also been established by the city of Hollister for open space.
You know, if it was, I was looking at this and I was thinking that this project certainly does not address the common open space as it is defined in the municipal code. But since it's private ownership, as you said, then they're exempt from that requirement. Although that you have these multi-units all stuck together, it's, you know, apartments or private ownership, you still need that open space. You still have that need to have a space where you can have community interaction.
Absolutely, we definitely agree to that, and that was considered as well, Chairperson Huboy. However, also the fact that the school was nearby, in walking distance, that really helped as well, and the city does have a
With the
partnership
walkability, yeah.
for people to be able to use it, and not just exclusively to the school, but also after school hours, people are able to use it.
Would have been nice to have a little neighborhood convenience store nearby too. That would decrease the need to get into a car and put pollution in the air. Okay, any other comments on this item? What is the pleasure of the Planning Commission? We're looking at
Number 1, I make a motion that we adopt a resolution approving tentative map number 2020-3, subject to the findings and conditions contained in the draft resolution with the change of condition number 63 as defined.
Was that condition 63, was that part of the CUP though?
Tentative map.
Or the tentative map?
It would be condition 63 on the tentative map and condition 22 on the site and architectural.
Oh,
And
okay.
I opened up our new PowerPoint, so I do have the language on the screen for everyone as well now.
Okay, I have a motion on the floor. Any further discussion on that motion?
No.
I have a motion on the floor for approval of tentative map 2020-3. Do I have a second?
A second.
I have a motion.
And make sure we do a roll call on
We'll do a roll call. Well, first,
yeah, we'll do our.
Yes.
let me go through this. Let me
Okay.
get through this, and then we'll ask for a roll call. I have a motion, a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Roll call, please, on the vote.
Commissioner Salvador Mora,
Aye.
Commissioner Jose Fernandez,
Aye.
Commissioner Roxanne Stevens,
Nay.
Chairperson David Huboy.
Aye.
Thank you. The motion carries, and it's passed 3-1.
And I'll just note for the record that that's going to be resolution 2021-21.
Thank you, Eva. That's correct.
Sal, you want
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion to adopt a resolution approving conditional use permit 2020, I'm sorry, is this correct? 202-3?
Correct.
It is correct? Okay, so I want to make sure. Conditional use permit 2202-3 for planned unit development, subject to the findings and conditions in the draft resolution.
A second.
to? I have a motion, and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Roll call, please.
Yes, thank you. This is a roll call for the motion to approve conditional use permit 2020-3 for resolution number 2021-22. I'll start with Commissioner Salvador Mora,
Aye.
Commissioner Jose Fernandez,
Aye.
Commissioner Roxanne Stevens,
Nay.
and Chairperson David Huboy.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion passes 3-1.
I'd like to make a motion to adopt a resolution approving site and architectural review number 2020-16, subject to the findings and conditions contained in the draft resolution with change of condition 22 as described.
Second.
I have a motion, and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Roll call, please.
Thank you. This is for site and architectural 2020-16, which is identified as resolution number 2021-23. And I will start with Commissioner Salvador Mora,
Aye.
Commissioner Jose Fernandez,
Aye.
Commissioner Roxanne Stevens,
Nay.
and Chairperson David Huboy.
Aye.
Thank you. Site and architectural is approved 3-1.
Thank you and good luck, sir.
That was site and architectural. Or did we?
Oh, did we do that?
No.
Oh, yeah, we did it, yeah.
Did we do the site and architectural?
Yep, we did.
Okay, all right. Okay. We go to public hearing item number 2, minor subdivision 2018-6 and site and architectural review 2018-23 extension. Right 13 LLC, the applicant is requesting an extension for approved minor subdivision 2018-6 and site and architectural review 2018-23 to subdivide a 13.19 acre parcel into 4 lots consisting of 4.25 acres, 4.01 acres, 4.07 acres, and 0.86 acres. The approval includes site and architectural approval to construct approximately 340,000 square feet of indoor greenhouse buildings for a cannabis cultivation facility on existing agricultural land, including on-site parking and all utility connections, drainage, and landscape improvements. The project site is located at Wright Road and San Felipe Road in the North Gateway zoning district, further identified as San Benito County parcel number 053-350-005 CEQA mitigated negative declaration. Abraham?
Thank you, Chairperson.
You're welcome.
The extension is going to be presented by my colleague, Eva Kelly.
Thank you. Yes, as mentioned, the applicant is requesting an extension for minor subdivision 2018-6 as well as site and architectural review 2018-2013. This is known as the Right 13 project. This project was approved by the Planning Commission on September 26, 2019 per resolution 2019-45 and 2019-46 for both the minor subdivision and the SNA. The minor subdivision approval was to subdivide about 13.19 acre parcel off of Wright Road and San Felipe Road into 4 different lots. Parcels A, B, and C are each just a little over 4 acres, and then parcel D was 0.86 acres, and that was for stormwater detention and retention. The approved site and architectural review was for the construction of about 340,000 square feet of greenhouse buildings for cannabis cultivation. And this property, as mentioned, is located at assessor parcel number 053-350-005 within the North Gateway zoning district. Per the applicant's request for the extension due to the effects of COVID-19 on commercial, industrial, and cannabis development opportunities, their applicant team has not been able to progress forward with the project since their 2019 approval. However, they've indicated that they're seeing a turn in the market and believe that they'll be able to move forward with the project into the development phase with an approval of a time extension. The applicant's request was initially for a 2-year extension. However, because there was a minor subdivision approval, it's subject to the Subdivision Map Act. And the Subdivision Map Act does not allow discretionary approval of an extension for a map beyond a 1 year after that initial 2-year approval. So if applicable, there are some additional time extensions in the Subdivision Map Act that are non-discretionary based on certain things that may happen to the map, or if there was like a moratorium, for example, those could extend the map. But discretionary approval by the Planning Commission may only be for 1 year. As the site and architectural review for the project is also tied to that minor subdivision map, the Planning Commission may also only extend that approval for up to 1 year beyond that initial approval. So staff would recommend that the Planning Commission review the applicant's request, receive written and oral testimony regarding the proposal, and make the following motion to adopt a resolution approving a 1-year extension to both minor subdivision 2018-6 and site and architectural review 2018-23, subject to the findings and conditions in the draft resolution. Thank you.
Any questions on the staff report? No questions. I'll open up the public hearing now at 7:28. Any speakers on this item?
There are no speakers from the audience that I have a card from, but there are. I see a name of the applicant, of one of the applicants on Zoom. Not sure if anybody on Zoom wants to speak. If you do, please raise your hand.
Any questions for the applicant? Anyone on the virtual audience care to speak on this item? No speakers. I'll close the public hearing now at 7:29. Bring it back to the commission. So the 1-year extension and the issues with, I think I read about the COVID creating some problematic issues with the timing.
It's definitely understandable, yeah.
I entertain a motion on this item. Do you have a motion to grant the extension?
Roxanne?
Yeah, I'll make a motion. Is that where we're at? We're not going to do a discussion. We're just going to go into the motion.
No, we were.
Well, was there any discussion on this?
I didn't have any. I'm not sure if anybody else did.
No, good.
Yeah.
There's no
So I'll make a motion if everybody's ready for that.
Yeah, we're ready.
Yes.
Okay, so I make a motion to adopt a resolution approving a 1-year extension for minor subdivision 2018-6 and site and architectural review 2018-23, subject to the findings and conditions contained in the draft resolution.
Do I have a second on that?
Make a second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Roll call, please.
Yes, thank you. So for the approval of an extension for minor subdivision 2018-6 and site and architectural 2018-23, subject to the resolution 2021-24, I will begin with Commissioner Salvador Mora.
Aye.
Commissioner Jose Fernandez.
Aye.
Commissioner Roxanne Stevens.
Aye.
And Chairperson David Huey.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion passes 4-0. Thank you.
Now, when we move to, thank you. We move to item 3. I'll read the description, and I will declare that item 3, the plans in your packet were prepared by Huboy Architecture. So therefore, I will recuse myself and request Chairwoman, Roxanne Stevens to preside in my absence. So item number 3 is Site and Architectural Review 2020-14 and Conditional Use Permit 2021-4. Joseph and Matt Sanchez, the applicant, is requesting approval to construct a 2-story mixed-use building to replace a former 1-story commercial building which was destroyed by a fire on a 0.15 acre lot, which equates to 6,570 square feet in the downtown mixed-use zoning district. The project is proposing 4 commercial tenant spaces and 5 residential units. The applicant is also requesting conditional use permit for a planned unit development to request a reduction in the open space requirements. The project is located within the parking assessment district and within the downtown mixed-use zoning district at 435, 437, 439, 441, and 443 San Benito Street, further identified as San Benito County Assessor Parcel Number 054-120-007, CEQA categorically exempt.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Huboy. Should we, do we have any speaker cards? Is that what we're going to do first is public comment?
Commissioner
staff
Stevens, if you like, we can have a staff report for this.
Sorry about that. Staff report and then public comment. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll have our colleague Amber Cameron, our social planner, to present. Thank you.
Thank you. As mentioned, the applicants are requesting approval to construct a two-story mixed-use building on a 1.5 acre lot, which is the equivalent of 6,570 square feet in the downtown mixed-use zoning district. The first story of the building will be constructed at 5,335 square feet with 4 retail spaces fronting and accessing San Benito Street. Suite 101 will have a second door access point located on the northern side facing Briggs Alley. The retail spaces will vary in square footage. Suite 101 will have a retail space of 960 square feet and will share a hallway and a restroom with Suite 102, which has a retail space of 900 square feet. Suite 103 will have a retail space of 950 square feet, and Suite 101 will have a retail space of 1,020 square feet. Both suites will have their own private restrooms. The ground level rear portion of the building is proposed primarily as a residential area of the mixed-use building, although there is one privately leased office space proposed with access through the residential entrance. And just so you guys are aware, that space is going to be right here. The residential entrance is located on the northern elevation facing Briggs Alley. This portion consists of a laundry room, a privately leased office space of 270 square feet, and a 677 square foot accessible one bedroom apartment identified as Unit 111. This apartment will include a living room, kitchen, bedroom, bathroom, exterior storage, and a 120 square foot private yard. In addition, on the plans labeled as rear yard, it includes a combination of landscape pathways and a courtyard to picnic in. The second story will be 3,488 square feet. There will be 4 residential units, which will have an accessible common walkway that is connected to both an exterior and internal staircase. I apologize. With the building. Each unit will have its own exterior storage and balcony. Unit 201 is proposed as a 992 square foot 2-bedroom apartment with a living room, kitchen, 2 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, and a 75 square foot balcony. Unit 202 is proposed as a 1,027 square foot 2-bedroom apartment with a living room, kitchen, 2 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, and 2 balconies. One balcony will be 107 square feet and the other will be 106 square feet. Unit 203 is proposed as a 637 square foot studio apartment with living room, kitchen, closet, storage area, bathroom, and a 106 square foot balcony. And Unit 204 is proposed as a 796 square foot 1-bedroom apartment with a living room, bathroom, bedroom, and a 107 square foot balcony. The western elevation of the building will front San Benito Street. The overall building will be finished in stucco. A decorative horizontal band will wrap around the width of the building. Known as a string cord in architecture, this line helps to differentiate the stories of multi-storied buildings. On the ground level, there are 4 proposed storefronts, which are offset by 5 decorative tile panels in between. Each storefront will have a single entrance with window panels on either side and will have a canvas awning. The second story is residential and will have 4 private balconies that will be located directly above the storefronts. The windows on either side of the sliding glass doors will be visible and slightly extended past the length of the balcony. A lightweight concrete tile awning will extend the length of the elevation, shading the balcony areas. Skylights will be provided directly above each of these spaces. The top of the building combines two architectural styles by providing a false front commercial design that is curved and has a more decorative parapet wall. The eastern elevation is in the rear of the building and will face into the adjacent building. Looking at the elevation from left to right, the rear ground level will have an exterior staircase to the south and an adjacent door to the electrical room. The living room window and bedroom window to unit 111, the accessible one-bedroom apartment. To the right of that will be two double doors that will access the exterior storage closet for the apartment. The storage closet for 111 is recessed into room 110, a retail office space which has an entrance adjacent to the storage closets and overlooks the residential courtyard. Next is the door to the office that will be for private lease. The door next to the northern boundary of the property will access the interior staircase, laundry room, and water heater closet. The northern elevation of the building will face Briggs Alley. This elevation has an entrance to Retail Suite 101 and the entrance to the residential portion of the mixed-use building. The entrance to the mixed-use building contains a pathway that sets this building back at a minimum of 5 feet up to 10 from the building to the east. Reading the plans from left to right, the building will vary in its setbacks from the building to the east, but will always maintain at least a 5-foot setback. In between the two buildings, sorry, let me see if it's on the next slide. There we go. In between the two buildings is a gate proposed within stucco finished walls with Spanish-style awnings. This gateway is the only entrance and egress point for individuals entering and leaving the residential and office spaces. Towards the rear of the building, on the ground level, will be a double door that accesses the utility room. To the right of that will be a set of doors that will open into the refuge areas for that is recessed into the building. A double door will access the recycling bins. A single-story door will be for the organic bins, and another set of double doors will access the garbage. Lighting has been provided on either side of these doors. Towards the northwestern corner, the front of the building will be a large panel window which looks into Suite 101. The second story is defined by the horizontal line that spans the width of the building. On the second level of the northern elevation is the private balcony for Unit 101. To the right will be two sets of small sliding glass windows for bedroom 2 in Unit 201 and for bedroom 2 for Unit 202. There is no southern elevation, as you can see per the slide. The mixed-use building is located within the downtown mixed-use zoning district and is a zero lot line property, which means the structure may come up to or build on the subject property's boundary line. A conditional use permit for a planned unit development is being requested by the applicant. This type of entitlement allows for development to have some flexibility within the general development and site layout standards while protecting the integrity and character of the residential areas of the city. It also encourages innovation and the development of affordable housing or housing that is more affordable compared to the standard market rate single-family homes and ensures consistency with the general plan. The applicant is requesting a variation in the private and common open spaces requirements of the Hollister Municipal Code 17.04040 residential open space requirements D3 sections A through B, which states that the downtown mixed-use open space required for multifamily development should total in 500 square feet by combining private and common open space. Private open space for multifamily developments requires that at a minimum 250 square feet be provided at the ground level units And if it is on a second story, that there is a minimum of 64 square feet in the form of a balcony. For the private open space for this project, for the residential units on the second floor, the unit's proposed private space meets and exceeds the requirements of Hollister Municipal Code 17.040404 AA. Unit 201, a two-bedroom apartment towards the northeastern portion of the building, is proposing a 75 square foot balcony, which meets the minimum requirement of the 64 square foot balcony space. And for unit 202, a two-bedroom apartment which has two balcony spaces, one which again is 107 square feet, and another that is 106 square feet. For 202, unit 202, excuse me, it has a combined total of 213 square feet of private open space. Unit 203, a studio apartment, will have a 106 square foot private balcony, which exceeds the requirement as well. Unit 204, a one-bedroom apartment, will have a private balcony of 170 square feet, which exceeds the requirement. However, Unit 111, the accessible one-bedroom apartment that's on the ground level, is proposed at 120 square feet for its private yard. This falls short by 130 square feet of meeting the minimum requirement of 250 square feet for the ground level units. In total, the project is proposing 621 square feet of private open space. Common open space is referred to as a central and contiguous area that is improved for passive or active open spaces with a plan for encouraging community interaction. Common open space may include things such as recreational facilities such as a gym, an indoor pool, or a rooftop garden. It must be accessible to all multifamily residents in the development, and it also must be screened where practical from public view. In addition, the landscaping and walkways for buildings and parking areas do not count as open space. Per section 17.040040.3D, common open space is calculated as the remainder of the 500 square foot minus the provided private open space. As you'll see on the screen, there's been a table that's been provided to reference the unit number, the amount of private space required, and the amount of private open space, as well as the common open space remainder that is required. At a minimum, this project in total is required to provide 1,879 square feet of common open space. However, the applicant is currently proposing 578 square feet of common open space within the residential courtyard. 360 square feet of this will be dedicated to a picnic area, which will serve as the project's minor amenity, which is required by Hollister Municipal Code 17.040040C. Approximately 1,301 square feet of common open space has not been provided. The applicant is requesting approval for a conditional use permit for a planned unit development to receive a variation in the private and common open space. The applicant has stated that their project is confined by the downtown mixed-use density requirement, which allows for a residential density of 25 to 45 units per net acre, which equates to about 4 to 6 multifamily units. To resolve this issue, the applicant may consider increasing the building's height, as the DMU zoning district allows for development to be constructed up to 75 feet in height. However, the applicant has stated that the installment of an elevator would be cost prohibitive to the project's budget. The current proposal provides a design alternative which would reduce the amount of private and common open space for the residential units and place the accessible apartment on the ground floor. Furthermore, the applicant's architect has acknowledged that the design concept is to keep the building similar in scale to other surrounding buildings in the downtown and keep the residential components small enough to encourage neighborly relationships. Lastly, the architect has stated that by reducing or eliminating any potential retail space to accommodate for private and common open space for residential defines reason as the retail component of the project should keep in character with the existing zero lot line storefronts in the downtown, which encourages pedestrian-friendly retail. The item was reviewed by the Development Review Committee of the City of Hollister on April 1st, 2021 and August 5th, 2021. The City of Hollister is currently in the process of updating its general plan and working concurrently on zoning amendments to the downtown zoning district. These amendments would focus on updating development standards for the downtown and would increase the density from 35 to 125 units per acre. The applicant was presented with the opportunity to revise their project to reflect a higher density, which would allow for 5 to 18 units. At this time, the applicant has declined. While staff is sympathetic to the applicant's request, we also acknowledge that there's been a resurgence in the downtown and an increased housing demand for apartment units. The project does meet the density or minimum density requirements. However, staff believes that the project should not deviate from the requirements for private and common open space. And a design alternative could be proposed that accommodates the private and common open space as the downtown mixed-use district allows for structures to be built up to 175 feet. In addition, common open space again may include such things as residential or recreational facilities such as gyms, indoor pools, and rooftop gardens. The Development Review Committee has expressed concern regarding the privacy and safety of the accessible apartment on the ground level and has also expressed concern regarding the leased office that would be accessible only through the residential area. Both the Hollister Municipal Code Section 17.18.10 D1 and the downtown commercial and mixed-use portion of the 2005 and 2023 general plan encourage ground floor retail and residential uses on upper levels. Should the commission choose to approve the conditional use permit for a planned unit development for a variation in private and common open space, staff would at a minimum recommend conditioning the project to convert the leasable office space into common open space by providing a gym or a recreation room. In addition, over the past several years, we've heard concerns from citizens about reducing urban sprawl into our agricultural and open spaces. One way to reduce such impacts is to increase development densities and encourage projects to build up to their maximum allowable heights. This project is proposing landscape in the rear of their building. As you can see on the screen, there's a walkway and a courtyard. There will be a picnic area within this space. I'll point to it on the screen just so you guys can see it. It will incorporate Spanish-style pavers throughout the area and will include several different planter boxes along the way and 2 larger planter beds as well. The parking for this area, this project is proposed within the downtown mixed use area, which is a part of the downtown parking assessment district, meaning that this project will not be required to provide parking and also will not be required to provide any bicycle parking. This is just a colored rendering so you guys can see what it would look like in color. And with that, staff recommends that the Planning Commission review the applicant's request and receive all oral and written testimony regarding the proposal and making the following motions. 1, to adopt a resolution approving Site and Architectural Review 2020 14 with the amendment to condition 52 as described. And just to go back to the previous slide, this is a similar condition that Ms. Kelly brought up in regards to the backflow prevention device. Again, it was brought to our attention that the language needed to be changed to include if required by city standard, so that has been added as well. And then 2, a resolution approving conditional use permit 2021-4 for a planned unit development subject to the findings and conditions contained in the draft resolution. Staff has also presented the option to deny the request for the site and architectural and conditional use permit as well. Are there any questions for staff?
Commissioners Mora, Fernandez, any questions for staff on the report?
So, previously, this building, correct me if I'm wrong, previously had 4 commercial units, correct?
That's correct.
And then now they're proposing 5 with
So
5 apartments?
They're proposing 4 retail spaces and then 5 residential units. 1 will be a ground level, and then the other 4 will be on the 2nd story.
With an office space, correct?
Yes.
So
If you can see my mouse, this right here is the accessible ground level apartment, and then this area right here is what's being proposed as the leased office space. And then these larger units right here, these will be the 4 retail spaces. And then this demonstrates where the 4 units will be. So this one here, 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 and here.
And that lease office space, Amber, that's the one that you were referring to, that police had a concern in regards to it being towards the back and not towards the front where there's view and access to it, and therefore we are recommending that would be more of a recreation or open space area, possibly a gym area, as opposed to a lease area that only has access through the rear, correct?
Yeah, that is correct. At this time, the only entrance to this privately leased office would be through the residential access, which is located right here.
So Commissioner Mora or Fernandez, any questions? Any other questions?
No.
Okay. I do have a question about that proposal to change the design to make that lease space common space. I mean, I kind of think that's a good idea, but I'd like to hear more about what would that entail. If we thought that was a forward, then what would that entail for the applicant as well as for the commission?
Vice Chairperson Stevens, is that a question for staff in regards to what we would see?
Yes, what would the applicant have to do? Would they just have to present a different design plan? And then what would we have to do as a commission? Would that mean that we would postpone the vote, or we would? So I'm just asking,
Sure.
I guess more logistical stuff, like how would we proceed forward as a commission if we wanted that to happen, as well as what would the applicant have to do if that was what our expectation was?
Thank you, Chairperson Stevens. So in our Hollister Municipal Code, it indicates that the proposal can have a minor amenity, and the amenity can be in the form of for example, a gym, a rec room, computer room, and so we typically allow the applicant to propose that to staff, and then staff, would generally either agree with them or make other suggestions. In this case, because we discussed this when we saw that it was going to be a lease office, and then the Development Review Committee or DRC took a look at it, and specifically the police department had their concerns. we felt that it can be then, instead of a lease office, it can be more of a either a like a gym, an area where you could put some treadmills or some weight equipment for the applicant, for the people that are living in the area that would have access to that courtyard area. And so that can basically be a recommendation from the Planning Commission to include a similar use. Of course, we would always want to make sure to hear from the applicant as well to see their point. But in our review and staff's review, it was that it should be converted to more of a common use, like a gym. And in our for it to move forward, we don't necessarily have to bring it back. We can just make that as a condition that office lease area, instead of being a lease area, be more of a common open space. And if you want to see specifically a gym or something else, a computer room, you can make that recommendation, or you can indicate that they work with staff to provide something there that meets a minor requirement.
Okay, good. Thanks for answering that question.
Sure, you're welcome.
Can I just clarify one thing real fast, just so that the commission knows that right now the applicant is meeting the minor amenity. We consider a picnic area being a minor amenity, so if there was discussion further about converting this space, it would be essentially an extra thing that the applicant would be providing.
But Amber, that would make that common area so that the request to approve a smaller.
That's correct. If it was converted to a recreation room, for example, or a gym, those would be acceptable and could count towards the common open space.
Commissioner Stevens, it's kind of cutting out in your end, but I think Amber did catch what you were trying to indicate. So instead of the 1,301 square foot that would be required for common open space, it would be less than 1,301 with that's being converted. I'm not sure if you're able to hear us, Commissioner Stevens. Paul, do you think that she may have to log off and log back in?
Yes, it seems that's what's gonna.
Okay, I think she did that. Great. Hopefully she can log back in. Thanks everybody for your patience. It would be important for her to log back in so that way we can finish this as a quorum and be able to take action.
Well, while we're waiting, is anybody looking forward to the start of the NFL season?
That's a nice segment.
Hey man, this is always my favorite time of year. I like baseball too, and I'm glad our two local teams are doing excellent. Some about football. Oh, there she is. She's back.
I apologize for that. Somehow I lost my connection, and it took me a little bit to get back on. I'm not sure what happened. But anyway, I'm not sure whether my question was answered about whether or not that change of that one office space would then change the square footage of the common area.
Yes, it would.
Okay.
Recreation space or a gym space is considered as common open space, so it could contribute to that square footage amount.
Okay. Okay, so should we, any other questions from the commissioners, or should we go to public comments and then have further discussion later?
I think we're fine. We could open up for public comment.
Okay, let's open up public forum now.
Hi, Vice Chair Stevens. We have a few public speakers in the audience. We'll start with Ravina Huboy.
Good evening, Commissioners. I am Ravina Huboy with Huboy Architecture, representing the owner. This is an existing infill site, a site that became vacant due to a fire disaster. Rather than presenting a project to you which simply proposes a replacement of the single-story retail building that existed, we are presenting a project which transforms the site into a retail living space in a manner which is sensitive to our existing downtown core. We feel this is an innovative development because it maintains the character and scale of the historic downtown while adding a unique living component. The apartments are much needed in downtown Hollister and offer a more affordable alternative than a single-family home. One of the components of affordable living is the location, within walking distance to stores and services, so that a resident does not require the expense of an automobile. Attractive and generous private balconies have been provided, as well as a common picnic area. Please note that the gate to the rear courtyard will be secured with a lock. And the owner is in fact amenable to converting the office to a recreation room, which I think would be nice and to go with the picnic area. I thank you for your consideration of this project, and I will be available for any questions.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ravina.
Thank you. Any other speakers?
Yes, we also have Matt Sanchez. Matt?
Hello, Commissioners. I'm Matt Sanchez. I'm the property owner. It's my dad. He was the property owner before the fire, and ever since the fire, we're kind of doing it together now. So this design came about because we're not developers. I'm not a developer. This kind of just fell, how the cards fell. And the hardest part about this project for us so far has been getting the financing to rebuild, because construction loans are really hard to come by. Banks don't like to lend construction loans, so we were trying to keep costs down as much as we could. I'd love to have an elevator and a rooftop garden, because I think that'd be really good for downtown and the site, but those come with a lot of costs, and we're already running into, financing issues. So that's why, we can't really build up. It's because we're worried if we have to build up or put an elevator or more of those amenities, that we might have to sell it to an outside developer. And my dad has owned this for about 15 years, and he got it from his dad, who's had it for 40 or 50 years. So that's how we got to this design, and I think that's it. I'm here for questions, so yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Matt.
Thank you.
We have no more speakers, unless anybody else from the audience would like to speak. Amber, do we have anybody online?
No, we do not.
Or Paul? Thank you. No more speakers, Chairperson Stevens.
Thank you. Okay, so any discussion, comments from the other commissioners?
Just the technicality, you need a closed public comment.
Oh, thank you for that. Yes, it's closed public comment.
At 8:06.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I definitely like this development. Out of it's nice. It's good to see that out of something tragic, with the fire, losing, having to tear down business, something better returns, not just commercial, but also a housing component to it, especially in the downtown area, which is great because now we can potentially bring more business, bring more customers to the local businesses there without having to add more vehicle traffic. And it's perfect because right across the way, we have kind of like the same project as well within the 400 block, which is a mixed use, commercial and also residential. But like Commissioner Stevens pointed out, and I'm glad that the applicant is willing to change the office space to common use facility. That makes me feel more confident in this project, because I was concerned of having the accessible living unit, on the ground level, and then also having access to an office space. Made me feel a little uneasy there, but knowing that that everyone's open to changing it, definitely makes me feel a lot more comfortable. Myself personally, I don't think it's excuse me, my job as commissioner to tell the applicant exactly what needs to go there, whether it's a gym or a computer room, recreation room. I think I would leave that myself. I would leave that to the applicant and city staff to figure out what is the best plan. I definitely understand the reasoning why the applicant doesn't want to build up all the way that's allowed. It's definitely understandable. Financing, it costs a lot of money to build. Yes, having an elevator in a project like this would be probably a little more attractive, but it's definitely understandable. And it's great that we keep it local, and instead of letting, it's nice that we have a local family here in Hollister that's wanting to provide this type of project to our community. Definitely appreciate you guys stepping up. And you're right, it is very difficult to get construction loans. It's very, very difficult. More and more banks don't want to lend with that type of, they want to offer that type of financing. So I definitely like that, and if we can make it a condition to change the office space to a common area, I think I'll leave that to you guys. Myself personally, I think a small little gym would be great, but I think that's up to you guys to kind of work out.
Excellent.
Thank you, Commissioner Mora. Commissioner Fernandez, any questions or comments?
I think it's a great project. If we change that to a common room, I have no problem with it. We always try to work with other builders from out of the area. We should really support our own. Not that he's a builder, but I mean, he's an owner, he lives here. I think it's a great project overall. And it wouldn't make sense to make it taller than the other buildings either. It doesn't give you that really nice flow. But yeah, if they can change that to common space, I have no problem with it.
Great.
Thank you. So I don't have any other comments. I agree with both of you. I think that this is a good project. I'd love to see that space built up. It's a great opportunity to get the downtown kind of back to where it was before and even better. So I like the idea of changing that one office, and agree with Commissioner Mora that it's really up to the owners to decide what to do with it. But I do like that kind of that compromise to use that space and increase the common area. So with that, how would you like to proceed? Would somebody like to make a motion?
Yeah, I'll make a motion, and let's see if we can get this. I'll get some guidance from city staff as we do it. So I'd like to make a motion that we adopt a resolution approving site and architectural review 2020-14 with the amendment to condition 52 as described, as well as converting the office space to a common area. Not sure if that's
Excellent.
Is that good? Okay, perfect. Thank you.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Should
Commissioner.
we do our roll call?
Yes, thank you so much. For the approval of site and architectural review 2020-14 with the amendment to condition 52 and with the change to converting the lease office area to a common open space, I will begin with Commissioner Salvador Mora.
Aye.
Commissioner Jose Fernandez.
Aye.
Vice Chairperson Roxanne Stevens.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion passes 3-0.
Thank you. And
Where'd it go? With the second one, do we also have to
do we have to do this?
mention the office space converted to common area, or is that covered in the first motion? Okay, perfect.
Okay. So do we call Commissioner Hoopoy back in now?
Oh, no, hold on. Well, we have one more.
Oh, one more,
Yes.
right? Okay.
I make a motion to adopt resolution approving conditional use permit 2021-14 for a planned unit development, subject to the findings and conditions contained in the draft resolution.
Just a point of clarification. That's a conditional use permit 2021-4.
What did I say?
14.
I apologize.
It's okay.
I think you're reading number 1.
Was I?
Looking for number 2. Thank you.
I make the motion to adopt a resolution approving conditional use permit 2021-4 for a planned unit development, subject to the findings and conditions contained in the draft resolution.
I'll second that.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Roll call?
Yes, thank you. For conditional use permit 2021-4 per resolution 2021-26, I will start with Commissioner Salvador Mora,
Aye.
Commissioner Jose Fernandez,
Aye.
Vice Chairperson Roxanne Stevens.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion passes 3-0.
Thank you. Congratulations. Looking forward to seeing that building built up.
I've been up since 5:30. I apologize.
No, that you did excellent, Commissioner Fernandez. And we'll be getting Chairperson Huboy now, Commissioner Roxanne. Thank you.
No worries.
Thank you, Roxanne, for presiding in my absence. Thank you very much. Let's see where we are on the agenda. We go into new business.
There is no new business, Commissioner Huboy? Or Chairperson Huboy, I'm sorry.
I have, I did make a note, just wanted to run this. I think, in fact, Roxanne, I think you mentioned this at a previous Planning Commission meeting, that I believe there was a request to put this on the agenda, these ex parte, am I pronouncing it right? Ex parte communications that we receive as planning commissioners outside the quasi-judicial process from developers or applicants, one-sided emails, or they want to meet with us prior to public hearings. I'd like to see if we can put that on the agenda for our next Planning Commission meeting so we can have a discussion regarding it. Roxanne, do you recall, I think you made that request previously?
I did make that request and we had agreed to put it on the agenda. And if I'm remembering correctly, I was kind of hoping that staff would chime in. But if I'm remembering correctly, I think we got some communication from staff that it may not be appropriate for us to have that agenda item. So am I remembering that right? Can somebody from staff speak to that?
And I believe that's correct. I apologize if I don't recall the exact request. I'll go back and look at it and touch base with staff. But if anyone has questions in the meantime, they can certainly reach out to me and we can have that conversation.
Right. Just as a, I've been planning commissioner for many years now, and I have received these requests in the past. And I let them know whenever I receive a request that I will not provide any opinions or any viewpoints on my part. If they want to meet and just for general information only, but when I looked into the League of Cities handbook for planning commissioners. They do not, well, their guidelines are to inform the requestor that you make comments in writing that can be disseminated to all the commissioners. And that, I think that's what I'd like to see. I mean, I'm just proposing that, just throwing it up there for discussion. But if am I hearing that it's not appropriate to put that on the agenda? Is that it? Is that correct?
I think that is what you're hearing, Commissioner Huboy. And again, I apologize, I don't remember exactly what the request is. I'm guessing that request was probably made at the May meeting. And I'll look back at that and touch base with staff and find out what the status was. But again, in the meantime, if anyone wants to discuss anything with me, they're welcome.
Well, and I think, well, the request came from me specifically, but I think there was agreement from the commissioners. I think what I really wanted was just to get a better understanding of, the expectations of this body. So I think that was what I really wanted to find out more, just to make sure that as we're moving forward, that we didn't inadvertently, to make a misstep in our communication. Since it seems like there's now a greater expectation that as much of the communication be made in a public space during a public meeting. So I would just like to have a better understanding of that and some clarification. So that's what I wanted. And if you have any ideas about how we can get, some maybe some training about that or some clarification about that, I would certainly welcome that.
Okay, understood.
Okay, great.
I think it'd be good if we maybe received the Sydney ordinance language, to kind of help guide us a little bit better. Because I don't think everyone has that. Because I know that there is, and I could be misspeaking, but I believe that there's a caveat in there where it says that you can't, we can meet with builders and developers to a certain time frame, and then I believe it's within a month of the meeting, or there was like an exception where we could. So it's been a couple months since I read it last. But I think it'd be good if we all received a copy of it, and that way we can, when we come to the next meeting, we'll have some, maybe we could agendize it as well, is to kind of if we have questions about it, maybe we can take care of that via email or with city staff or city attorney, just to make sure we have clarification, so that way we're not violating city ordinance.
Right.
All right, I can't commit that it would be appropriate for agendizing for a public meeting, but again, anyone can certainly ask me questions. And if I think I understand the documents that you're referring to, Commissioner Moore, and certainly we could provide you with documents then.
Gotcha, perfect.
So I think that's a good idea. I mean, I think if we kind of agree that maybe we just get the document, we all get it in a group email, and then if we each individually have a question, then we can just put it out there in that email to get some clarification. I'm thinking that should be okay. If we did that, if we just wanted to clarify some of the things in there and do it as a group, that sound like it would be okay to do that?
We could certainly provide the documents to you that I think you're referring to, but we cannot have any group emails between all of us outside of an agendized meeting, because that would be
so individual then. It sounds like we have to do it individually. Okay.
Okay. Any old business?
No old business at this time, Chairperson Huboy.
No business. Planning department reports?
We do have a planning department report. We would like to congratulate twofold a member of our team. We want to congratulate Assistant Planner Arely Perez. One, because she recently became a mother. She actually did recently become a planner not too long ago, and she's done great with our department. She recently became a first-time mother. And that's just awesome.
Congrats.
Yeah, and yes. And secondfold, she started with the city of Hollister around March of 2020, about a little bit over a year ago. And her first day, we were really excited. She did really good in the interview, and perfectly bilingual, has helped tremendously. First day comes along, and then we get the order for the shelter in place order. So then a lot of staff had to work from home, and she did tremendously great. Going over all of our city's policies and requirements, projects, and has helped us tremendously with site and architectural reviews, tentative maps, accessory dwelling units. She's been great in our development review committees and our planning commissions as well, our general plan advisory committee and city council. And she's done tremendous. She's done zoning ordinances just in her little bit over a year being here in the city of Hollister. And so the second congratulations would be that she, for her, not necessarily for us, because she is going to be leaving us. She got a better position, a good position closer to home, and because she's a recent mother, it's going to benefit her a lot to be closer to her child and to her family. And I completely understand her being a recent dad myself, but we just wish her the best. We thank her from the bottom of our hearts for all of her hard work and dedication that she has done. She has blended in very well with our department, and the public loves her. We have quite a bit of a high concentration of Spanish speakers that come in, and she's done great. They love her, and I always tell people you're in good hands when you're with Areli, as well as my other team. But because she's leaving us, I just want to make sure that I acknowledge that she did a tremendously great job with the city of Hollister, and you will be missed, Areli. Thank you so much for all of your help.
Thank you very much. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Yes. And since you brought it up, congratulations to you.
Yes.
Thank you.
That's your fourth now, right?
My fourth baby was born Monday 4 weeks ago, 7 pounds, 14 ounces, 21 inches long.
4 weeks ago?
Just very healthy. Baby
7
boy.
pounds, 14 ounces, 21 inches long.
That's correct.
Multiples of 7.
Wow.
Wow, you're
Just saying.
777. I like that number.
Special baby right there.
Oh, I haven't thought about it that way, Commissioner
Yeah.
Mora. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. You got the lotto.
Oh, that's great. Thank you.
That's great, Abraham.
Thank you so much.
I know it must be quite an experience now to, be a father for 4 times, young children at home, and getting to work early, after a tough night's sleep, maybe.
A little bit in the sleep-deprived mode, I'm sure Areli as well.
Yeah.
But it's okay, we're hanging in there.
Right.
At least it'll be nice. You have a less, you have a shorter commute, so that's awesome. Exactly.
Yeah.
Maybe get a little bit of you time to prepare. So definitely, congratulations again.
Planning Commission reports.
Ms. Stevens.
Roxanne, do you have anything to report?
No reports for me.
Before we go into adjournment, I just wanted to share, maybe some of you know that former city manager Clint Quilter passed away. He started out in the Public Works Department and went on to city manager, and I remember working with him on city projects quite fondly. He commanded respect. I know I would go into meetings when we did, for example, when we did the renovation of the Veterans Memorial Building, I would go in there with kind of a chip on my shoulder, and he would straighten me out quickly. And I really had a lot of admiration and respect for Clint Quilter. So I'm sorry if I don't have the correct protocol on this, but I would like to request that we adjourn in the memory of former city manager Clint Quilter.
Definitely. Before we adjourn, some 2 quick things. One, I'd like to invite city staff as well as everyone in the community. The company I work for, Direct Mortgage Funding, we're having a grand opening tomorrow We've put it out with Chamber as well as the Realtor Association at 3:30. Actually, it's from 4 to 6, but it's over, what is the address? I'm trying to remember. The 330 Tres Pinos Road, Suite C3, direct mortgage funding. So everyone's welcome. We're going to have a taco guy there. We're going to have churros there as well. So everyone is definitely invited to come down, check it out. And the second announcement I have is I had to make a decision as well regarding, family and stuff like that. But I had to make a decision that even though I work in the city still, this is going to be my last meeting as a planning commissioner. I have to step down. My family has moved to Roseville. I've been splitting my time back and forth between Roseville and Hollister. Thought I could do it for another year so my stepson can graduate from the high school here. It's a senior year. And after about 2 months of going back and forth, we finally decided that it's not going to work. It's just way too much. So we transferred him. I still have business here, so I'm back and forth. But we sold our house. We're living in Roseville. We're waiting for our new house to be built next year in Lincoln. But so yeah, I mean, I definitely appreciate my time here. I wish it was longer, but I know our planning department is in great hands and our planning commissioners. You guys do an excellent job, and I wish you guys the best. And I won't say goodbye forever because we still have property here, so it could be just so long for now, and maybe we'll see you down the road. So, and thank you guys for everything you guys do, city staff. You guys do a wonderful job. Want you guys to know that you guys are appreciated, and wish you guys the best, and we're lucky to have you guys.
Thank you, Commissioner Mora.
And thank you, Mr. Uboy, for your guidance.
Oh, thank you, Sal. I mean, you just came in as planning commissioner and really started feeling the reins very quickly and very insightful. We really appreciate your tenure as a planning commissioner. And best of luck to you. And it's eventually you're going to be living in Lincoln?
Lincoln, yes.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I never even heard of the city before, but my wife, she's working in Roseville now.
Mm-hmm.
She was working in Hollister, but she's the one that takes care of, provides for everybody, and we switch roles. And then she said, "Wait, do we go or no?" I said, "Well, wherever you go, the family will follow." So. So it's a little sooner than we expected. We expected to do it next year, but I'm not as young as I used to be. Being in the car used to be a fun adventure. Now it's a dreadful adventure. So finally I said, you know what, we can't do it. So my son and I are moving back with everybody.
Well, best of luck in your future endeavors there in Lincoln, and I wish you all the luck with the construction of your new house there, and you and your family, and appreciate all your good work here.
Great, thank you very much.
Best of luck, Commissioner Mora.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Stevens.
And we have a son that lives near there, and it's beautiful. So I think you're gonna love it up there. He doesn't live right in Lincoln, but it's near, so it's pretty nice there. I think you'll love it. Best of luck.
Yeah, the time I spent there, it's so hot. It's so hot. That's the only thing. The Hollister hot heat is not the same as Roseville heat. At least we have the nice breeze over there. The times I am there, usually here it gets warm like early afternoon, then it cools down. Well, over there, the later it gets, the hotter it gets. So I'm not used to that. So that's the only thing. But thank goodness for air conditioning, because after a certain heat, I stay indoors the whole time. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Sal. Okay, so I entertain a motion for adjournment.
I make
memory of former city manager Clint Quilter.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
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 I don't think we need a roll call on that.
No, you don't. Thank you.
Okay, we'll see you. Thanks for coming.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Good night, Commissioner Stevens.
Recording stopped.